My name is Danielle, I'm 24 years old, and if there's one thing I've learned the hard way, it's that loyalty is often a one-way street. I never thought I'd be the type of person to seek revenge, but what happened at my best friend's birthday party left me with no choice. The night it all started, I showed up at a gorgeous rented venue in downtown Chicago. I had been planning this celebration for weeks. Well, to be exact, I had been the one handling all the logistics. The DJ, the cake, the limo for the afterparty. I coordinated every detail, put deposits down, and even covered the big costs myself because my so-called best friend, Melissa, told me she was tight on cash. I didn't mind. We'd been inseparable since high school, and I figured money wasn't worth ruining a friendship. But as I walked into the venue, smiling and holding a wrapped gift in my hands, the music cut for a moment, and all eyes turned to me. Melissa, standing there in a glittering silver dress, gave me a look that made my stomach twist. And then, in front of everyone, she laughed. "You weren't invited, Danielle. Leave." I froze. At first, I thought she was joking. But the group of people around her, people I thought were also my friends, burst into laughter. Someone muttered, "Pathetic," as I slowly turned to walk out, my cheeks burning. The gift in my hands suddenly felt heavy, meaningless. As I pushed through the doors, the sound of their mocking followed me out into the street. My hands were shaking with humiliation, but beneath the sting of betrayal, something else was building, anger. By the time I got into my car, I realized I had all the power. The cake, the DJ, the limo. All in my name. And in less than 10 minutes, I had them all cancelled. $18,000 worth of her party, gone in a heartbeat. I didn't realize just how quickly the consequences would come crashing down. By the time I got home that night, my phone was already buzzing like crazy. At first, I ignored it, still replaying the humiliation in my head, the way Melissa's laugh cut through me, the whispers, the way people stared like I was nothing. But soon, curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced at the screen. 17 missed calls. Most of them were from Melissa, a few from people I barely recognized, and one from her boyfriend, Derek. The text messages started rolling in seconds later. "What the hell did you do? The DJ just packed up his stuff and left. Fix this. Where's the limo? My parents are asking why there's no ride. Cake isn't coming. Are you insane?" I set my phone down on the coffee table, smirking for the first time all night. For once, I wasn't the one left standing in the corner, looking like a fool. An hour passed before the pounding on my front door began. At first, I stayed quiet, hoping whoever it was would get tired and leave. But the voice that followed made my stomach twist. "Danielle. Open this door right now. Melissa." I peeked through the peephole, and there she was, still in her shimmering dress, makeup smeared, hair falling out of place. She looked nothing like the perfect birthday girl from earlier. She looked desperate. I opened the door just enough to lean against the frame. "Oh, look. Thought I wasn't invited?" Her eyes were wild, and for a moment, she actually looked scared. "You need to fix this. Now. Everyone's furious, Derek is pissed, and my parents are humiliated. You don't get it, I can't just throw a party without all that stuff." I folded my arms. "You mean the stuff I paid for? The stuff you laughed at me over?" She tried to reach for me, lowering her voice like she was bargaining. "Danielle, please. I was just joking earlier. You know I didn't mean it like that." But I wasn't buying it. Not anymore. Melissa stood there on my doorstep, mascara streaking down her face, trying to twist her words into something that sounded like an apology. But it was too late for that. "You didn't mean it like that?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "So when you told me to leave in front of everyone, that was what, just a comedy bit?" Her lips trembled, and for the first time, she didn't have a quick comeback. She wasn't in control anymore, and she knew it. "Danielle, please," she whispered. "Just call the vendors back. Put it all back the way it was. I'll pay you back, I promise." I actually laughed at that. With what money, Melissa? You couldn't even afford the party in the first place. That's why I booked it all under my name. You thought I was dumb enough to bankroll your little princess fantasy and then watch you humiliate me for sport. Her face hardened at my words, but she still tried to push past it with fake sweetness. Look, I was under pressure, okay? Everyone expects me to throw the best parties. Sometimes I lash out. But you're my best friend. Don't you want me to be happy on my birthday? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. No, actually. I want you to feel exactly the way I did tonight, embarrassed, unwanted, and small. And from the looks of it, I've already succeeded. She gasped, like she couldn't believe I was speaking to her that way. For years, I'd been the quiet one, the reliable one, the one who picked up her pieces. But not anymore. The shouting started again, Derek pulling up in his car, her parents calling her phone non-stop, party guests demanding answers. And there she was, stranded on my doorstep, begging me to clean up the mess she made. For the first time in a long time, I shut the door on her. And it felt good. The next morning, my phone was quieter than usual. No good morning texts, no group chat chatter, nothing. I figured most of them were still recovering from the disaster Melissa had called a birthday party. Out of curiosity, I checked Instagram. That's when I saw it. People had already started posting about the chaos. Videos of the DJ packing up, guests standing around awkwardly with no music, clips of Melissa screaming into her phone, her silver dress glittering under harsh lights as she lost her composure. The captions told the real story. This party was a train wreck. Imagine canceling everything and not telling the guests. Face with tears of joy. Worst birthday ever. Never again. Even people who used to worship the ground she walked on were openly mocking her. By noon, her name was practically trending in our circle. The queen bee had fallen, and everyone was enjoying the show. I scrolled through the comments with a mixture of satisfaction and disbelief. For years, Melissa had treated me like her shadow, useful when she needed something, invisible when she didn't. Now, she was the one being laughed at. But what really made me pause was Derek's post. He put up a picture of himself and a couple of guys from the party, captioned, "At least the night wasn't a total waste." Hashtag single life. Single life. I read it twice. If that was true, Melissa had lost more than just her reputation. She'd lost him too. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in a long time, Sarah, a girl who'd stopped hanging out with us years ago because of Melissa's cruelty. I saw what happened last night. You don't know how many people are glad you finally stood up to her. She had it coming. For the first time, I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about breaking free. By the afternoon, Melissa was in full damage control mode. I knew at the moment my phone started buzzing again, this time not with angry texts, but with forced apologies. "Hey, Danielle. Can we talk? I didn't mean what I said. You're my best friend. Please stop ignoring me. Everyone thinks this was your fault." That last line made me laugh out loud. My fault? She was the one who humiliated me in front of a room full of people. She was the one who made me feel like an outsider at a party I practically built from the ground up. All I did was pull the plug. But what she didn't realize was that the narrative had already spun out of her control. Screenshots of her drunken texts, clips of her screaming at the vendors, and even whispers about how she had scammed me into paying for everything were circulating. People weren't blaming me. They were seeing the truth. Still, she didn't give up. By evening, she showed up at my apartment again, this time without the glitter dress, without the entourage. Just her, standing on the other side of my door in sweats, looking like a girl whose kingdom had crumbled overnight. When I opened the door, she gave me this pitiful smile. "Danielle, please. You don't understand what it's like to have everyone hate you. I need you. You're the only one who can fix this." Her voice cracked, and for a split second, I saw the girl I once called my best friend. But then I remembered the sting of her laughter, the way she'd tossed me aside like I was nothing. You need me? I asked quietly. Or you just need someone to clean up your mess? She froze, unable to answer. And in that silence, I finally knew I held all the power. Melissa stood in my doorway, her lips parting like she was about to say something clever, something manipulative. But nothing came out. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked powerless. And I wasn't going to waste that moment. You know what, Melissa? I said, crossing my arms. If you want forgiveness, you're going to have to earn it. I'm not just handing it over because you finally realized you can't live without me. Her eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering across her face. Earn it? What do you mean? I leaned forward, keeping my voice calm but sharp. You're going to admit, publicly, that you treated me like garbage. You're going to tell people the truth, that I was the one who booked everything, that I paid for it, and that you humiliated me in front of everyone. No more lies. No more twisting it to make me the villain. Melissa's jaw tightened. You're asking me to destroy myself. I shrugged. I'm giving you a choice. You either take responsibility, or you keep digging your own grave. Because trust me, the more you fight it, the worse you're going to look. For a second, I thought she might snap, start yelling or throw one of her tantrums. But instead, she just stood there, trembling. She knew I was right. The power had shifted, and she wasn't the one holding the strings anymore. Fine, she muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll do it. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Good. Because forgiveness isn't free. And if you really want to prove you've changed, this is just the beginning. Her eyes widened, and I could see the fear sink in. For once, Melissa wasn't the one controlling the game, I was. 2 days later, Melissa finally caved. I had given her time, watching her reputation burn online, but I didn't expect her to actually go through with it. Yet there it was, her shaky attempt at a confession. She posted a video on Instagram, sitting in her room with no makeup, her hair tied up like she couldn't even be bothered. The filters and fake smiles were gone. I need to be honest, she started, her voice cracking. The truth is, my birthday party fell apart because of me. Danielle was the one who booked everything, the cake, the DJ, the limo. She spent her own money, and I took advantage of her kindness. Then I turned around and humiliated her in front of everyone. She didn't deserve that. None of this was her fault. It was mine. The comments section blew up within minutes. Some people praised her for owning up, but most were brutal. Too late. Damage done. You only admitted it because you got caught. Danielle deserves better friends. I watched the whole thing with a strange mix of satisfaction and disbelief. She actually did it. She burned the image she had spent years crafting, all because she was terrified of losing whatever scraps of friendship I might still offer. Later that night, she texted me. I did what you asked. Can we talk now? I didn't reply right away. I let her sit in that silence, the same silence she left me in when she laughed at me in front of everyone. She wanted my forgiveness like it was a prize to be won, but I wasn't sure she realized forgiveness wasn't the same as trust. Because in my mind, this wasn't over yet. Not even close. I finally texted Melissa back the next morning, but I kept it short. We can talk. My rules. She showed up at my apartment an hour later, dressed down in jeans and a hoodie, a far cry from the polished, perfect image she usually clung to. She looked smaller, quieter, like someone who had finally realized the crown was gone. When she sat down on my couch, I didn't offer her coffee, didn't make small talk. I wanted her uncomfortable. You did what I asked, I said, staring at her. But that doesn't mean everything goes back to normal. We're not friends, Melissa. Not anymore. Her eyes darted to me, wide and pleading. Danielle, please. I know I messed up, but I can fix it. Just give me another chance. I shook my head. You had years of chances. I stood by you while you tore people down, while you lied, while you treated everyone, including me, like they existed to serve you. And the one time I needed you to just treat me like a friend, you humiliated me. She blinked hard, like she was trying not to cry. So what do you want from me? I leaned back, crossing my arms. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop talking about me behind my back. You're going to stop twisting the story to make yourself look better. And you're going to respect me when I say we're done. If you try anything, to sabotage me or drag my name through the mud, I'll make sure everyone knows every single thing you've done over the years. And trust me, I've got enough receipts to make that happen. Melissa sat in silence, staring at the floor. She wasn't used to me having the upper hand. But I was done playing the quiet, loyal shadow. For once, I was setting the terms. After that conversation, Melissa kept her distance, at least from me. But I could see her scrambling online, trying desperately to patch her reputation. Suddenly, her Instagram feed was full of inspirational quotes about growth and forgiveness. She started tagging people in old pictures, captioning them with things like, "Grateful for true friends 2 hearts," as if she hadn't burned half those bridges years ago. But no one was buying it. People remembered the way she used to mock Sarah until she cried, how she spread lies about Jenna to steal her boyfriend, how she treated everyone like they were disposable. The birthday party disaster wasn't just a one-time mistake, it was the crack that made everyone see what had always been underneath. And the harder she tried to spin it, the worse it got. Comments flooded her posts. "Girl, sit this one out. You only care because you got caught. Where was all this positivity when you were tearing everyone down?" Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. I started hearing from people I hadn't talked to in years. Sarah invited me out for coffee. Jenna sent me a long message saying she wished she had stood up to Melissa sooner. Even people I thought barely knew me reached out, saying they respected me for walking away. It was like I'd stepped out of her shadow and into the light for the first time. And Melissa? She couldn't stand it. For years, she had been the center of attention, the one people revolved around. Now the spotlight was shifting, and it wasn't just that she lost it. It was that it was moving to me. For the first time, I wasn't just the quiet friend who tagged along. I was the one people wanted to know. And Melissa hated that more than anything. It didn't take long for Melissa to make her move. I should have expected it. Humiliation never sat well with her. She'd apologized to my face, but deep down, she couldn't stand the idea of me coming out of this stronger than her. It started small. A few whispers here and there. I heard from Sarah that Melissa was telling people I only canceled everything because I was jealous of her. She spun this ridiculous story about how I'd always wanted to be her, how I couldn't handle being in her shadow anymore. At first, I rolled my eyes. People weren't stupid, they had seen what happened. But Melissa had always been skilled at twisting the truth, and I knew she wasn't going to stop at just whispers. Sure enough, a week later, someone sent me screenshots of a private group chat Melissa had made. She added a bunch of mutual acquaintances and started posting about me. Things like, "Danielle is acting like some hero, but she's obsessed with me. She only paid for my party so she could hold it over my head later. I feel bad for her, honestly. So insecure." I stared at the messages for a long time, anger rising in my chest. Part of me wanted to storm over to her apartment and unleash everything I'd kept bottled up for years. But another part of me, the part that had been humiliated and mocked, knew I had to be smarter than that. So instead of lashing out, I quietly started gathering my own receipts. Screenshots of the times she begged me for money. Texts where she called other people losers. Voice notes where she bragged about lying to get her way. If she wanted a war, I was ready. But this time, it wasn't going to end with me being the one in tears. Melissa didn't back down. If anything, the group chat only made her bolder. When she realized some people weren't buying her story, she doubled down, saying I was manipulating everyone and pretending to be the victim. It was laughable, really. For years, she had thrived on manipulation, but now that her tricks weren't working, she was unraveling in real time. I knew then that it was time to stop playing defense. I wasn't going to sit back and let her drag my name through the mud. Not after everything. So, one Friday night, I pulled together a little collection of evidence. Screenshots, texts, and even a couple of short voice recordings. Melissa admitting to lies, mocking people she called her friends, even bragging about using me for money. I packaged them neatly, no extra commentary, no angry captions. Just the raw truth. And then I dropped it. I posted it to my story, visible to everyone we both knew. Within minutes, my phone blew up. Reactions poured in: shock, anger, disgust. People who had been on the fence now had proof. People who had once defended Melissa were suddenly silent. And the ones who had been hurt by her in the past? They finally had their validation. The best part? I didn't need to say a single word. The receipts spoke for themselves. By the end of the night, Melissa's name was in group chats across the city, but not in the way she wanted. She wasn't the queen bee anymore. She was a liar, a manipulator, and a fraud, exposed in her own words. And for the first time, I felt the weight lift. I wasn't the quiet friend in the background. I wasn't her sidekick. I was the one who finally brought her down. The fallout was brutal, and for once, it wasn't mine to carry. By the next morning, Melissa was everywhere, but not in the way she craved. Her DMs leaked, her voice notes circulated, and people were reposting my story like wildfire. The girl who had spent years perfecting her image as the it girl was suddenly the cautionary tale. I heard from Jenna first. She texted me, "She's blowing up in the group chat, saying everyone's fake and jealous." Total meltdown. Then Sarah called, her voice barely hiding the amusement. "She's threatening to sue people for reposting your story." Like, good luck with that. But the real confirmation came when I scrolled through Instagram. Melissa had posted a frantic string of stories, rambling rants about betrayal and fake friends. She claimed everything was taken out of context, that I had edited the receipts, that people were trying to cancel her because they couldn't handle her success. But no one was buying it. The comments were brutal. "This isn't editing, Melissa, this is who you are. Girl, you burned your own bridge. Danielle deserved better. Always did." By the end of the day, Melissa deactivated her account entirely. Just gone. I sat on my couch that night, phone in hand, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. No constant drama, no walking on eggshells, no wondering when she'd turn on me again. Just peace. It struck me then how much space she had taken up in my life, space I could finally reclaim. And while she was spiraling in isolation, I was reconnecting with people who actually wanted me around. The power had shifted, and it wasn't shifting back. With Melissa gone from social media, it felt like the air finally cleared. No more passive-aggressive posts, no more fake smiles hiding sharp words. Just silence. And honestly, it was the best gift I could have asked for. That week, something surprising happened. I started saying yes to things I would have avoided before. Coffee with Sarah turned into brunch with a group of girls I hadn't spent time with since high school. Jenna invited me to a small get-together at her apartment, and instead of being the outsider, I was actually laughing, talking, and, most importantly, comfortable. It felt strange at first. For so long, I had gotten used to Melissa controlling the dynamic, deciding who was in and who was out. I'd always been her plus one, the background friend. Now, people wanted me around for me. One night at Jenna's, someone brought up the whole birthday fiasco. I braced myself for the embarrassment, but instead, they started clapping and cheering. "You seriously had the guts to pull the plug on an $18,000 party?" one guy said. "That's legendary." I laughed, shaking my head. Honestly, I just snapped. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me anymore. You didn't just stand up for yourself, Sarah added. You stood up for everyone she ever treated like dirt. You don't know how many people respect you for that. Hearing those words hit me harder than I expected. For years, Melissa had made me feel small, replaceable. But now? People saw me as strong, someone who had drawn the line and refused to be disrespected. For the first time in my life, I didn't just have friends, I had a real circle. And Melissa? She was nowhere in it. Just when I thought Melissa was finally out of my life for good, she reappeared. It was late on a Saturday night when I heard a knock at my door. At first, I thought it was Sarah or Jenna dropping by, but when I looked through the peephole, my stomach sank. Melissa. She looked nothing like the girl who once strutted into every room like she owned it. Her hair was messy, her clothes wrinkled, and her eyes were swollen like she hadn't slept in days. She clutched her phone in one hand, her voice shaky when she called out. Danielle, please. Just open the door. I don't have anyone else. I hesitated, but eventually cracked the door open, keeping the chain locked. She looked up at me with tears running down her cheeks. They all hate me, she whispered. Derek dumped me, my parents won't even look at me, and everyone's turned their back on me. I don't know what to do. Please, Danielle. You're the only person I have left. For a moment, I just stared at her. A part of me, the part that had once called her my best friend, ached seeing her like that. But then I remembered the sting of her laughter that night at the party, the humiliation, the lies she spread even after I gave her a chance to come clean. You made your choices, Melissa, I said quietly. You pushed people away, you lied, you used them. And when it all came crashing down, you blamed me. That's not on me to fix. That's on you. She shook her head, sobbing harder. I can change. I'll do anything, Danielle. Please don't leave me alone. But this time, I didn't flinch. I shut the door. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty about it. After that night, Melissa never came back to my door. She disappeared completely, no more texts, no more calls, no more desperate attempts to twist herself back into my life. I think deep down she realized it was over, that whatever power she once had over me was gone for good. And honestly, I didn't miss her. In the weeks that followed, my life started to feel lighter. I had more time, more energy, and more confidence than I'd had in years. I wasn't walking around on eggshells anymore, wondering what mood Melissa would be in, or whether I'd be her target that day. Instead, I was reconnecting with old friends, saying yes to new opportunities, and finally putting myself first. One Saturday night, I found myself surrounded by people who actually cared about me, Sarah, Jenna, and a few others. We were at a little rooftop bar, laughing until our sides hurt, music in the background, the city lights glittering around us. For once, I wasn't the afterthought. I was part of something real. As I looked around the table, I realized something important. Revenge wasn't just about making Melissa pay. It was about taking back my power, my voice, and my worth. She had tried to tear me down, but in the end, she only set me free. I don't know what became of her after she hit rock bottom. Maybe she learned her lesson, maybe she didn't. But the truth is, I stopped caring. Her chapter in my life was over, and I wasn't about to let her write another page. Because for the first time, I wasn't living in her shadow anymore. I was standing in my own light. And it felt damn good.